Welcome to the Piece of Me podcast, the place to find different ways to bring enjoyment, simplicity, happiness, and of course, more peace into your life. Life gets busy, noisy, and at times it's messy. I'm here to help you clean things up and put peace back in its place. Each episode, I'll share tips, ideas, and fresh perspectives to help you live your best life. Hi friends, it's Lexy Leigh. If you're new here, then welcome. If you're not new, then welcome back. I'm so glad you'll be joining me for today's episode, which is all about how to handle a curveball and what to do next. Now, when I say curveball, I say something that's happened to you that you were not expecting, or something that happened that you were expecting, but it turned out differently, or maybe even worse than what you were expecting. Curveballs could be, it could be a fight. It could be, maybe there was an argument, but it just turned into this huge fight. It could be a breakup. It could be a promotion or job that you thought you were going to get and it didn't happen. It could be a layoff. It could be a diagnosis. It could be a death in the family. It could really be so many different things. So let's just talk about 7 tips that can help you heal and move on. I say tips. These are not steps. These are in no particular order. So hopefully some of these things will help you. If not, all might help you get to the other side of this. So first things first, acknowledging that you were thrown the curveball. Sometimes we try to be strong and that we can get through anything and nothing's going to bother us. We're just going to keep getting up and just brush it off. But sometimes it's okay to just acknowledge it and don't deny that you're going through something hard. It doesn't make you weak. It's okay to say, yeah, you know what? This is really hard, or I'm really hurting, or I'm having a really difficult time with this right now. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's tip 1. Tip 2 is allowing yourself plenty of time to process what you're going through. So don't put a time frame on that. Don't put a clock. Don't tell yourself that I'm only going to give myself a day or I'm only going to give myself a week. Give yourself as much time as you need. And you'll know how much time that is because you will start to feel better. You will start to feel like it's not consuming you as much. You're not thinking about this thing as much. It's not bothering you as much. That's when you'll know you've given it enough time because it's not going to take up a lot of mental space in your brain because you're not going to be thinking about it as much. All right, tip 3, having a support system. This can be talking to friends, a partner. It could be journaling. That's a really great outlet. Taking some time just to maybe disconnect. Maybe you just need to change your scenery, change your environment. Going for a walk, getting outside, getting some fresh air, maybe seeing a friend who you haven't seen in a while, maybe just talking to somebody who even can give you that 10,000 foot view perspective. Maybe there's somebody who is a super close friend of yours and you want to talk to them. That's great. But in addition to that person, maybe you want to talk to somebody who has kind of the outside looking in view instead of the inside looking out view. So you kind of get both and have that person be someone who you can vent to and kind of help you put things in perspective. Another tip number 4, sleep on it. You've been dealt a curveball. Again, whether you were expecting it or you weren't, or just it came and it was worse than you thought, give yourself some time to sleep on this because time does heal all wounds, but how you feel in the morning even from right now, will feel different than you do. You'll feel different in the morning. You'll have a different perspective. You still might be upset. You still might be mad. That's not going to go away yet. But give yourself time to sleep on it. And I don't mean just one night. You might need several nights of sleep on this. But just giving yourself that time to sleep, because when we do wake up with, we've rested, we're maybe not as exhausted to deal with a situation, our perspective is different. So give yourself time to sleep on it. All right, tip number 6. We're kind of moving through these quickly here. Now, this one's going to take a little bit more work because this really requires us to dig deep and figure out what else is going on. because chances are there's something else going on. So figure out what's at the core of this curveball, meaning it's not necessarily always what happened that we're upset about. There's usually something else below the surface that is giving us all the feels that we're feeling. It's making us feel some type of way about the situation. So it could be, now that this has happened, is it change? Is it that maybe deep down this is just implying a change is happening in our world, in our life, in our routine, and we don't like it? Is it fear of the unknown? Is this curveball that just happened, is it triggering like a fear of the unknown? Is it not having control? A lot of times a curveball happens to us, we didn't control it. So now it's this, oh my gosh, this now happened to us and we have to deal with it. Is it feeling like a loss of control? And there's a lot of different things in there. When you start to dig deep as to like, what is it that's really at the core of this, that's really upsetting me, it'll also help you heal faster because now you know why it's bothering you so much. Because it might not just be the surface thing that happened, although that is part of it. But there's also sometimes something underneath the surface that's starting to trigger something in you that's making you feel the way you do. All right. Now, last but not least, I think that this tip is very helpful. Again, we just talked about how a curveball has happened to you, whether you were anticipating it or not. Obviously, the curveball was bigger or more impactful than we anticipated. So now we're in this situation. It's happened to us, but what can we do to affect the outcome? Like it's happened, but now where do we go from here? How can we make this hurt less? How can we kind of get our power back? So tip number 7 is control the controllables. If you've never heard this phrase before, control the controllables, it's about looking at a situation and figuring out what things in the situation you can impact, what you can control. And oftentimes, yes, these situations, there are things that it happened to us, it is what it is, but there are usually things within that we can change, that we can, kind of alter it or control more, that will help us deal with the situation. So looking at what this is, what can you control in the situation? What can you control in this environment? Is it, can you have certain conversations with people to make this situation, either end, get better, get fixed, whatever? Is it, something with work? Is there something in your work environment? Is there something you can do? Basically look at yourself and decide, what can I do in this situation that makes me feel I have control back, or that makes me heal from this faster, or makes me feel better about that this happened? What's kind of the positives? What can I do to control what's happened in kind of a possibly uncontrollable situation? So it's finding the controllables. That will just give you a lot of ease of, again, it's kind of like making lemonade with lemons. Basically you were dealt lemons. Now what do? And it's, okay, hey, I've got a whole thing of lemons. I got some sugar. All right, let's make some lemonade and let's add some water and make the most of it. So it's kind of that. That's the whole control, the controllables. Look at what you can do, and what you can't control, well, we have those other tips that we've talked about. So a lot in here. You might even want to go back and listen through this episode and just kind of go through each one and digest each one and figure out what will work best for you. Again, in no particular order, more so just tips as to help you heal with this curveball. So please let me know in the comments below if some of these tips have resonated with you, or maybe you're working on some of them right now. I'd love to hear how they're going for you. And I wish you all the best as you heal through this situation. And we will talk again soon. Thanks again for joining me today. If this episode has helped you or can help someone you know, please share it with them. Stay safe, and we'll chat again soon.